always got something in my eye. Like, it's kind of like rude.
Hi folks, it's me, Kayla. Welcome back to my channel. So, you may have noticed that, like in my thumbnail, I look very different from how I look now. And that would be because I already filmed this video once yesterday, and then only now have realized that every time I am sitting forward on my couch in the video, it's like cut off from here up, and I couldn't handle it. I couldn't do it. So we're back for round 2. I mean, like, it's only round 1 for you, but I am living a Groundhog Day nightmare. I mean, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. So let's just like dive right in. We're getting past it. Today we're going to be discussing my winter TBR. So what I've basically made here is a list of books that are like kind of my top priority reads for the next couple of months until about like, let's just like say March, because I feel like most people are, like March is spring. Though like I'm from Newfoundland, so I really see March as like still very much being winter at that point in time. But I understand, like, now not living in Newfoundland, that the rest of the world probably does see March as spring and not winter. So we'll go with that. We'll say that these are books I want to read before sometime in March. I feel like it's not like too many books. It's not like a strict list of books that it's like, this is exactly everything I'm going to be reading. I'm probably going to be reading things other than these books as well. These are just kind of to give me like a bit of a guideline on like what to be focusing on for myself. They're also all series or part of series, and that's because I recently have made myself a spreadsheet that keeps track of all of the series I'm currently reading, like if they're completed by the author already or if they're ongoing, where I am in them, how many books I have left to read in them, when I have been reading them, all of that, as well as like a list of like series I would like to start reading. And I did this because I am someone who likes to read series with having the previous books in them very like recent in my mind. So if I feel like it's been a while since I read the last books in the series, then I want to go back and reread them before I read a new one. And I feel like if I have too many series ongoing, I'm just going to be creating a lot of extra reading for myself that may not be required if I actually was just like, keeping track of these things and could be keeping up with things and keeping up to date with things as I go. So I currently have, I think I have about like 15 series that I'm in the middle of right now. I could be wrong. I didn't really check that before I did this, but I think it's around there. And I really want to be able to keep that number between 10 and 20. And there are series that I want to start reading, so I've decided to, prioritize finishing some series so that I can feel like I can start new ones without feeling guilty about it. All self-induced. I guess we should just like dive right in, see what's on this list, and get excited about it. So, yet again, I'm like a little notes-taking girly now for these videos. I'm like planning so much. But here we are. I have listed it out. So the first on this winter TBR is the Wayward Children series by Seanan and McGuire. Now, I did read Every Heart a Doorway, which is the first book, back in December, and it made it onto my best books of 2022 list. I really loved it. And then I recently saw, I think I saw like Kayla from Books and Lala and Meg with Books, and I think some other people were all like rereading the series because the 8th one is coming out, I believe, relatively soon, in the beginning of this year. I may be totally wrong about that, but let's just like say I'm right for lack of further knowledge. And so I really felt like I was missing out, and I haven't read the series before, and all these people were like rereading the series and like having a grand time, and I was like, oh, there goes the bandwagon, I am not on it. So I've decided to reread the first book, and I'm now reading my way through the series of the ones that are out, so it's 7 books, and I'm actually doing this for a vlog, which should hopefully be out next week. Stay tuned. I'm hoping to make it pretty spoiler free so that you can just, hear my thoughts on it as I'm reading through, and it's not going to be like a really heavy in-depth synopsis kind of thing, but I just felt like it might be fun. I know so many people love this series, and I want to be one of those people, so I'm reading it. So that would be 7 books in total. These are all novellas because it is a series of novellas, which means that you know, they are much shorter books, and they're definitely much shorter than the books I averagely am reading, because I do read a fair amount of fantasy, which just tend to be on the higher end of page counts because world building takes a lot of time. So I'm expecting to read these pretty quick. I'm already partway through the second one right now, which is Down Among the Sticks and Bones, and then I'll be reading Beneath the Sugar Sky, In an Absent Dream, Come Tumbling Down, Across the Green Grass Fields, and Where the Drowned Girls Go. And then I'll be, you know, all up to date on that series, except for that new book that's about to come out that I'm not going to read yet, but that's beyond the point. I'm reading these through Libby, so I'm doing them all electronically on my iPad. I don't have to buy them, which is great. As much as I would love to own these books, the fact that they're novellas, but the hardcover still, for some reason, costs the same amount as if there were 700 pages in there is astonishing to me, and I think it should be illegal. Who let you charge that much for that tiny of a book? Like, I love it. It's beautiful. I want it. I want to support you, but my wallet cannot possibly do it. There we go. That is series number 1. First 7 books. I'm excited. Let's move on. Then the next thing I have is the Bridgerton series by Julia Quinn, and I did actually put this on my like end of year reading plan TBR list that I was going to finish this last year, and I didn't. I did read a fair amount more. There are 8 books in the series, and I do only have 2 left, which is It's in His Kiss and On the Way to the Wedding. I did find like the first bit of this series was a little rough. There was like, you know, like a book, and then a book I liked, and then a really bad book. But like the 4th, 5th, 6th books, I all felt pretty good about. I liked them all, I would say. And the 6th book was my favorite in the whole series so far. So, you know, I'm hoping that the last 2 are also good and I'll enjoy them. Otherwise, that will be kind of sad. But I do feel like I should finally finish this endeavor and finish reading those books. Historical romance will be nice to read after all of the fantasy of Wayward Children, I think. So a little switch up, and 2 books isn't like that much. It's quite achievable, and I can like feel like I finished this big quest in finishing Bridgerton, which is like not a quest. Anyway, so I'm like, look, bam, bam, that's another series, and it's like that. It's done writing. There are no more Bridgerton books coming out. So like once I finish that, right, it's like move it off the list. She's done, ticked off. Wipe my hands clean of it, you know, unless I want to like go back and reread some of them, but like then I can say I read them, and then I can watch any and all Bridgerton content knowing that I already know what there is to be known. So yeah, Bridgerton series I also have been reading through the library. I do not own these books. I read most of them through, 4 of them through Libby, and then while I was home over the holidays, I have a library card there, and the library is really close to my home, so I did get 2 physical library books. And the other, I will also be using Libby to read them. So there'll be electronic reads through the library. We love the libraries. We love loans. I also love owning books though, which is why the next series is one that I have physically as part of my little library collection. That series would be the Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo. Now, I read Six of Crows last year, and I absolutely loved it. I gave this 5 stars. I mean, it has a heist in it, and if there's one thing about me that we know on this channel, let's repeat it. Everybody together. I love a heist. Thank you. I read this, and I absolutely loved it, and then for Christmas, I actually received Crooked Kingdom as a gift, which was really exciting, and so I want to... Excuse you. Okay. I really want to finish this duology because, again, there's only like 1 book in it I haven't read. But because I love Six of Crows so much, I really want to reread it and then dive right into Crooked Kingdom, you know? So I want to do that like together just because I enjoyed it so much the first time I read it. Why would I not read it again if I had the opportunity to, you know? I'm going to be reading this whole duology. I know I've heard around that like Leigh Bardugo has said that there's like a 3rd book in Six of Crows that's going to be coming out, but like at some point, like it might be like 10 years from now, and like I can't possibly say this is an ongoing series. In my head, this is a completed duology. If another book comes out years later, then I'm going to be rereading these anyway, so we'll deal with that bridge if we ever come to it. I'm super excited for this. I think the Six of Crows, I did read the Shadow and Bone trilogy at the beginning of last year, and I liked it, but when I read Six of Crows, like, this is just like, this was so much better to me. I loved it. I feel like that's a common thing. I feel like most people like Six Crows better than Shadow and Bone. It's just like something, the characters are just much more like likable in this. I don't know. Also, a heist. We love it. So I'm really excited to be diving back into these and to be reading both of them. I didn't realize Crooked Kingdom was so chunky. It's not that much longer than Six of Crows, but for some reason it just feels like a chunkier book than this one. I cannot tell you why. We don't ask me to explain my own thoughts in this, okay? Like, sometimes I just have thoughts and we just let them live. Then the last book that I have on this list is actually like a little reward book for me, because I'll be like, look, I finished 3 of these series that I'm like finished or up to date on, right? I deserve a little reward for that. And do you know what that reward is? It's The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. So this is actually one of the books that I put on my 23 books in 2023 list. And I did that because I've heard so much about R.F. Kuang and I want to read like her other work, but I feel like I must read The Poppy War first, because in my mind this is what I came to know her for first, so I can't possibly read it out of the order I've created in my mind for reading them. I'm really looking forward to reading this because I mean, like, everybody is like, wow, it emotionally devastated me and it was amazing, and like I want to experience that, but I also feel like I cannot possibly start a really big fantasy series right now unless I finish a few, which is why it's at the bottom of the list. This is my little reward for accomplishing some tasks that I set out for myself in my reading. I did get this beautiful hardback copy of The Poppy War for my birthday for one of my sisters, so thank you so much to them. I have no idea if they are watching, but if they are, I love it. I think the hardback is so much nicer than the paperback in this. It's just something about like the sleek white with the smoke and the color. I love it. It's beautiful. I also just like really like having like adult fantasy in hardback, despite preferring to read most other books in paperback. There's just something about adult fantasy that I just like a hardback for. Again, my brain, we won't be explaining it. All thoughts, no reasoning. That is the end of my winter TBR. I know. We're here at the end already. What can I say? It's been a nice ride. We'll see if I like actually like accomplish this. Again, it's not like I'm not going to be like beating myself if I don't, but I kind of just wanted some guidelines to go by to like start accomplishing this task of like getting my series down so I don't feel like overwhelmed by the number of series I'm reading. And this felt like a good way to do it while also keeping room in there for me to read other books that I just feel like reading in between all of these. We'll see. I might like vlog some of them. If you want to see me vlog my reading of any of these books, let me know. Like I said, I am doing a vlog for the Wayward Children series, so you know, I could do it for all of them. I mean, the Bridgerton probably not, because I've already read most of them already, so that likely will not be happening, because it'd be really weird to vlog just reading the last 2 Bridgerton books and not acknowledging any of the other ones that came before it. But yeah, so if you like this video, make sure to give it a like, comment down below anything you're thinking. You know, do you have a winter TBR? Do you do monthly TBRs? Do you make TBRs at all? I haven't really been one to like do TBR before, and I felt like the seasonal TBR might be like a better thing to try out before just making like a monthly TBR and being really strict to it, because I'm still trying to figure out how many books I really do read in a month and how that's going to go, and I don't want to make goals that I can't accomplish because then I'll be sad. Yes. If you're reading any of these books, let me know. If you've already read them, like, did you like them? Do you think I'll like them? Do you think I'll hate them? Did you love them? Did you hate them? We will chat, okay? You let me know. You let me know if it's good. I'm counting on you. And then also, like, if you happen to like me, feel free to subscribe and stick around. Come back again. I'll love to have you. Welcome, welcome. We hope you stay. But also, like, no pressure. Like, if I'm not for you, don't stick around just for me, you know? Like, I only want you here if you're happy to be here. So, there we go. That is a video. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.